Welcome to Brickonomics. I'm Sarah, and today we're talking about why we can't resist a sale.
And I am Leo. And before we get too deep into the psychology of all this,
Yeah.
I probably need to confess to a recent, highly questionable purchase.
Oh, really? I cannot wait to hear this. What did you fall for this time?
So I just bought this commercial-grade stainless steel hot dog roller, like the kind you see spinning at a gas station at 2 in the morning.
A hot dog roller. You live in a tiny apartment.
I mean, yeah, I know. It takes up literally half my kitchen counter.
Yeah.
But, it was 70% off. The discount was just staring right at me. I felt like I was losing money by not buying it.
That is amazing and completely ridiculous. Have you even plugged the thing in?
Not once.
Yeah.
It is still sitting there wrapped in plastic, completely unused.
Well, thank you for sharing that because it is literally the perfect setup for today's deep dive.
Ah.
We are unpacking the incredibly sneaky, hidden mental traps that retailers use to get us to spend our money.
Yeah, the traps that lead straight to industrial hot dog rollers.
Exactly. Our mission today is to figure out the behavioral science behind those traps and, more importantly, to equip you, the listener, with some specific actionable rules so you can become a smarter shopper.
It is so important because we all like to think we are totally rational when it comes to our budgets. But the modern retail environment is practically engineered to bypass all of our logic.
Totally. I mean, think about your own closet right now. I am asking you, the listener, directly. Have you ever been out shopping or maybe just scrolling on your phone late at night and you bought something on a whim simply because it was just too good of a bargain to pass up?
Right, and you convince yourself it would be financially irresponsible to walk away from a deal like that.
Yes, but then that incredible bargain just sits in your closet for months or even years with the tags still firmly attached. Today, we're going to find out exactly why your brain does that.
The unworn clothes with the tag still on are such a classic example. It proves that you weren't actually buying a piece of clothing.
What were you buying then?
You were buying a feeling, a specific psychological reaction. And the retailers know exactly how to trigger it.
Which brings us to the first major mental trap we need to discuss today. The illusion of savings. Let's look at what the research calls the anchor trick.
Oh, this one is everywhere.
It really is. So let's set the scene. Imagine you are looking at a jacket, you look at the price tag, and it loudly says $100. But that 100 is crossed out with a thick red line.
The infamous red line.
Right. And next to it, in big, bold, urgent lettering, is the new price, $60. Instantly, you feel like you just won the lottery.
You feel like a genius. But the psychology behind why that works so perfectly is based on how our brains process information. It is called anchoring.
Break that down for us. How does the anchor actually work in our heads?
Well, the human brain really struggles to evaluate a number in a vacuum. We constantly need a baseline to make sense of the world. So when that initial $100 is presented to you, your brain drops an anchor. It accepts that $100 is the true, factual value of that jacket.
Even if the jacket was never actually worth $100 to begin with.
Exactly. Once that anchor is set, your brain completely stops evaluating the jacket itself. It stops asking if the fabric or the warmth is worth your hard-earned cash. Instead, it becomes completely hyper-focused on the $40 that you were supposedly saving.
We get so blinded by the $40 that we stop doing the actual math.
Right. The core reality check here is that you are not making $40. You are spending $60. Your bank account is going down, not up.
It is so wild how a simple crossed-out number completely short-circuits our financial logic. But there's another numbers trick that I think is even more dangerous.
The free stuff.
Yes, the free trap, the classic buy two, get one free offer, the BOGO.
The BOGO is a masterpiece of retail manipulation.
It really is. Let's say I go to the store and I only need one bottle of shampoo. It costs $20, but then I see a sign that says buy two, get one free. I instantly feel like a fool if I just buy the one bottle I came for.
Because the word free is staring you in the face.
Right, well, I'm going to use shampoo eventually, so I should definitely stock up and get the free one.
But let's look at what just actually happened to your wallet.
Okay, let's do the math.
You walked into that store planning to spend $20. That was your budget. But because of the BOGO sign, you walked out spending $40.
Wow. Yeah, I doubled my spending.
You doubled your spending. The store successfully tricked you into spending an extra $20 just to acquire a third bottle of shampoo that you didn't even want or need in the first place.
And I walked out of the store feeling like I outsmarted them.
That is the magic of the word free. In behavioral economics, they call it the zero price effect. Free doesn't just mean a lower price to our brains. It represents an entirely different psychological category. When something is free, our brain perceives zero risk.
So we completely abandon our original budget.
We throw the budget right out the window.
Mm.
Retailer gets twice as much of your cash, moves extra inventory, and all it cost them was a bottle of shampoo that they probably manufactured for $2.
It is genuinely brilliant and kind of evil.
Very evil.
You know, speaking of throwing money around, I actually heard a joke about this the other day.
Oh, no. Your jokes are always a gamble.
Hey, this one is good. Why did the guy put his money in the blender?
I have absolutely no idea.
Because he wanted to make some liquid assets.
Wow. That is truly terrible.
I thought it was pretty clever.
We should definitely stick to behavioral psychology.
Fair enough, fair enough. So we have talked about the math tricks, the anchors, and the freebies, but the research gets even more intense when we look at the emotional hooks retailers use.
The emotional manipulation is where things get really serious.
Let's talk about the last chance panic. I want to talk about those digital countdown timers.
Those are the absolute worst.
You are looking at a pair of headphones online, and right below the add to cart button is a glaring red clock counting down. Sale ends in 14 minutes and 32 seconds. Just seeing the seconds tick down makes my chest tight.
That anxiety is entirely intentional. When a retailer introduces a ticking clock, they are tapping directly into our primal evolutionary fears.
Wait, really? Like caveman fears?
Yes, exactly. In our evolutionary history, scarcity was a literal life or death situation. If you missed out on a scarce resource, like food, you were in serious trouble. So our brains evolved to react to scarcity with acute physiological stress.
But logically, missing out on 20% off some headphones is not a life or death situation.
Your logical brain knows that.
Yeah.
But the visual of the ticking clock bypasses your logical brain. It triggers the amygdala, which is the emotional processing center. The amygdala perceives that countdown as a threat, and it initiates a mild fight or flight response.
So that tight feeling in my chest is literally fight or flight.
Yes, you get a spike in cortisol, your decision-making window compresses, and you panic. And the crucial insight here for you, the listener, is that in those moments, you are no longer buying the product because you want it.
Why am I buying it then?
You are buying it just to make the ticking clock stop.
Mm-hmm.
You are paying money to alleviate the stress that the retailer just inflicted on you.
That is incredibly manipulative. They manufacture a crisis, and the only escape hatch is my credit card.
Precisely.
Which brings us to the climax of the whole experience. What happens the split second after you click buy and beat that timer, or the moment you hand your card over for that $60 jacket?
You get the ultimate reward.
The bargain high.
The bargain high is a massive rush of dopamine. And dopamine is the neurotransmitter of anticipation and reward.
So when we secure a deal, our brain basically throws a massive party.
A huge party. But the fascinating part is that the actual physical item you bought, the jacket, the headphones, the hot dog roller, is completely secondary. The high comes from the act of winning the game.
The thrill of the hunt.
Exactly. Sometimes the actual win of getting a massive discount feels infinitely better than the physical item itself.
And that is the exact reason why we end up with unused things sitting in our closets with the tag still on. By the time you actually get the jacket home and hang it up, the dopamine has totally worn off, the high is gone. And you are left looking at a piece of clothing you never really wanted in the first place.
You chased a neurochemical high, and the item is just the leftover evidence of the transaction.
Okay, this is all honestly a little depressing. It feels like the deck is completely stacked against us. How do we fight back? We need to give our listeners the defense playbook.
The good news is, once you know how the traps work, you can actively defend your wallet.
All right, what is the first move?
The first defensive tool is called the full price test.
The full price test. How does it work?
It is a mandatory pause you have to take right before you check out. You force yourself to ask one simple, brutal question. If this item wasn't on sale, would I still be buying it today?
Just completely mentally erase the discount.
Erase the discount. Erase the crossed out red number. Ignore the countdown timer. If the jacket was just sitting there at full price and there was no urgency, would you want it?
That immediately strips away all the emotional manipulation.
It acts as a cognitive circuit breaker. If the honest answer is no, I wouldn't buy it at full price, then you know you don't actually want the product. You are just chasing the bargain high.
That is such a practical tool. Just ask yourself that one question. But the research notes follow that up with the second rule that I think is even more of a paradigm shift.
Ah, yes. The zero rule.
The zero rule. Tell us about this one because it really challenges how we talk about money.
It completely flips the script.
Mm.
Retailers have trained us to view discounts as a form of earning money. The zero rule demands that you look at the raw math.
Let's use the jacket example again. The $100 jacket marked down to $60.
Right. Your brain and the marketing signs will tell you that you just saved $40.
Which feels great.
It feels great, but it is a lie. The zero rule states that if you execute that transaction, you absolutely have not saved $40. You have lost $60.
Because that $60 is literally gone from your bank account.
It is gone. You cannot use it to pay rent. You cannot invest it. You cannot buy groceries with it. You depleted your capital by $60.
We treat that imaginary $40 like we just earned a paycheck.
But you didn't. And that is the ultimate truth of this entire deep dive. The only actual mathematical way to save money
Is to spend zero.
is to spend zero, period.
Yep.
Everything else is just a very cleverly disguised expense.
That is such a powerful way to reframe the daily barrage of sales emails we get. Every time my phone buzzes with a 50% off alert, it is an opportunity to save. It is an invitation to decrease my net worth.
Once you start viewing sales through the lens of the zero rule, all those flashy red tags lose their power.
This has been incredibly eye-opening. Let me do a quick recap of the journey we just took.
Please do.
We started by looking at how our brains are easily hijacked by the anchor trick, where that crossed-out $100 price tag blinds us to the money we are actually spending.
The illusion of savings.
Exactly. Then we looked at the emotional hooks, the ticking countdown clocks that trigger a primal panic, and the rush of the bargain high that tricks us into buying the feeling of a win instead of a product we actually need.
Which leads directly to the unworn clothes in the closet.
Right. But by applying the full price test, asking if we would buy it without the discount, and relying on the zero rule, knowing that spending $60 is losing $60, you can finally take back control of your shopping habits.
It is all about slowing down and introducing friction into a process that retailers want to be frictionless.
Before we wrap up, I know you had a final thought you wanted to leave the listeners with, something to mull over that builds on this idea of the bargain high.
Yeah, I want everyone to think about where this is heading next. We've
Yeah.
talked a lot about the feeling of winning,
A
right?
dopamine hit.
Right. Well, the next time you feel that incredible rush of finding a massive discount, I want you to pause and ask yourself a really uncomfortable question.
Okay, I'm ready.
Are you actually buying a product? Or has the retailer just successfully sold you the feeling of winning? And if it is just a feeling, how much of your hard-earned money are you truly willing to pay for it?
Wow, that changes everything. You are essentially paying a premium just for a chemical reaction in your own brain.
Exactly. And when you realize that, walking away becomes a whole lot easier.
That is a fantastic point to end on. But before we sign off, we want to hear from you. What is the most ridiculous, pointless thing you have ever bought simply because it was on sale? Let us know in the comments.
Please tell me someone else out there has an unused hot dog roller.
Huh, I'm sure you are not alone. Thank you for joining us on this deep dive into Brickonomics, and we will catch you next time.